The message arrived on Christmas Eve, cutting through the static of deep space like a child's whisper in a cathedral. Elijah Chen sat in his cramped repair bay aboard the Frontier's Edge, a forgotten human outpost on the rim of known space, when his communications array pinged with an unusual frequency. He'd been alone for 3 years now, ever since the mining operation shut down and everyone else transferred back to Earth. But someone had to maintain the relay stations. And Elijah had nowhere else to go, no family waiting, no home to return to, just his tools, his ships, and the endless silence of the void. The message was coded in a child's encryption. Simple, obvious, like someone had just learned how to use a transmitter. Elijah frowned as he decoded it, expecting spam or a glitch. Instead, he found words that made his chest tighten. Dear Santa, my name is Addison. I am 7 cycles old. My mama says you bring gifts to good children across the galaxy. I have been very good. I helped mama with the engines and I studied hard. But I only want one thing. Can you send me a dad? Mama is sick and she works too hard. We are alone on our ship and she cries when she thinks I'm sleeping. I don't need toys or food. I just want someone to help mama. Please, Santa. We are at coordinates 847.23, 91. Thank you. Elijah stared at the screen for a long moment. His hands, calloused from years of welding and wire stripping, trembled slightly. He checked the coordinates. 2 days' travel in his fastest ship. He checked the signature. The message came from a Viridian transport vessel, one of the species humanity had first encountered 20 years ago when they'd ventured beyond the Sol system. The Viridians were peaceful, curious beings with translucent blue skin and oversized eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies within them. They'd been the first to welcome humans into the greater cosmic community, teaching them the languages and protocols of interstellar civilization. But this message, this came from somewhere humanity's reputation had apparently spread in unexpected ways. This child believed in Santa Claus. Elijah made his decision in heartbeats. He grabbed his emergency kit, loaded his fastest repair shuttle with supplies, and plotted a course. If this was some kind of trap, so be it. But if it wasn't, if there really was a sick mother and a lonely child out there in the black, then maybe his solitude had been preparing him for exactly this moment. The Viridian ship was smaller than he'd expected, a personal transport vessel that had seen better decades. Its hull showed signs of patch jobs and jury-rigged repairs, the kind of desperate maintenance that spoke of poverty and isolation. Elijah's heart sank as he docked. The airlock hissed open, and he stepped through into dim corridors that smelled of recycled air and something sweet he couldn't identify. A small figure emerged from the shadows of a Viridian child with enormous violet eyes and skin that shimmered like moonlight on water. Santa, she whispered in heavily accented standard. Her voice carried that particular quality of hope that only children possessed, fragile and fierce all at once. Elijah knelt down, bringing himself to her eye level. I'm a friend of Santa's, he said carefully. My name is Elijah. He got your message and asked me to check on you. Addison's eyes widened, and her small 3-fingered hands clutched at the worn fabric of her tunic. You came? You really came? I did. Can you take me to your mama? The child led him through narrow passages to a small cabin, where a Viridian woman lay on a makeshift bed. Her skin dull and her breathing shallow. Medical equipment that Elijah immediately recognized as dangerously outdated beeped weakly beside her. Mama Santa sent help, Addison announced, her voice bright with relief. The woman's eyes fluttered open when she saw Elijah human, not Santa, not whoever she'd imagined might respond to her daughter's desperate message. Tears began flowing down her translucent cheeks. Please, she whispered in broken standard. My daughter, when I am gone, she will be alone. No family, no home, please. Hey, Elijah said, moving to her side with the confidence of someone who'd fixed 1,000 broken things. Let me look at this equipment first. Nobody's going anywhere. He spent the next 6 hours working. The medical unit was 3 generations out of date, its diagnostic systems failing and its medication dispensers clogged. But Elijah had spent years making ancient machinery function beyond its intended lifespan. He recalibrated, rewired, and replaced components with parts from his own shuttle. Addison watched with fascination, asking questions in her limited standard, fetching tools when he pointed. The woman, her name was the Shad, drifted in and out of consciousness, but Elijah could see the color gradually returning to her skin as the equipment began functioning properly. Dawn came. According to the ship's arbitrary clock, Dacia sat up for the first time in what she admitted had been weeks. She was able to eat, to smile at her daughter, to cry for entirely different reasons. The coordinates you were heading to, Elijah said, checking their navigation logs. That's the Viridian homeworld, right? You were trying to get home. Desha nodded weakly. But the ship keeps breaking. I am not good with machines. I run out of credits. We drift and drift. Your hyperdrive coupling is shot, Elijah said, and your power distribution system is a disaster waiting to happen. But I can fix it. I can get you home. He spent 3 more days aboard their vessel, working 18-hour shifts. He repaired systems that had been failing for months. He taught Addison basic maintenance, delighting in her quick mind and eager questions. He shared meals with them, strange Viridian foods that tasted like cinnamon and starlight. On the 4th day, when the ship was running better than it had in years, Desha approached him in the engine room. You are a good man, Elijah Chen. My daughter's prayers reached the right person. I'm no Santa Claus, Elijah said, wiping grease from his hands. I'm just a mechanic. You are what she needed. What we both needed. Desha paused, her large eyes studying him carefully. The coordinates I gave you before. I lied. I have no family on the homeworld. I have nothing there. I was going because ... because I did not know where else to go. Elijah felt something shift in his chest. What are you saying? You are alone on your station. Yes. You have no crew, no family. She touched his hand gently. And you were very good with ships. My transport business was failing because I could not keep this vessel running. But with someone who understands machines. She looked at Addison, then back at him. Would Santa's helper consider staying? Not as Santa, but as family. Addison appeared in the doorway, her eyes full of that same fragile hope. Please stay, Elijah. You fixed Mama. You fixed our ship. You could fix everything. Elijah looked at them, this alien woman, and her child who'd reached across the stars with nothing but faith and desperation. He thought about his empty station, his silent corridors, his solitary existence. Humans had learned many things as they'd ventured into the cosmos. They'd learned that they weren't alone, that the universe was stranger and more wonderful than they'd imagined, that courage and kindness transcended species and worlds. But perhaps the most important thing humans had learned was this. Family wasn't about biology or origin. It was about who you chose to fix things for, who you chose to stay for. Yeah, Elijah said, his voice rough with emotion he hadn't felt in years. Yeah, I think I could stay. Addison launched herself at him, wrapping small arms around his waist. Over her head, Desha smiled, a true smile that made her skin shimmer like a nebula. Somewhere in the darkness of space, a lonely outpost would remain empty. But Elijah Chen, the forgotten human mechanic, had finally found what he'd been searching for in the silence. He'd found home, and it had found him. Through a child's letter to Santa Claus, traveling through the impossible distances between stars, proving once again that humanity's greatest export wasn't technology or weapons or even courage. It was hope, and the willingness to answer when hope called out in the darkness.